Top of the whenever to all my Godlights. It is I am he, I am she, I am share. Look to the Bible and there you will find me. So I'm back, guys. First I want to address the events of the last week, and I am talking about the earthquakes in Japan. That event, yeah, let's start with that. That event was the result of a tingling Tuesday event. And first, let me tell you, this is December, and this is the end of the first portion, the first year portion of this life path cycle. The life path cycle is from January 13th, 2025 until October 26th or 2026. And these events in this life path began with a tingling Tuesday event. And this year ends as it started, in that a tingling Tuesday event happened, and that event happened on a Monday, and it transmuted an event on a Tuesday. The first tingling Tuesday event happened January 13th, which was a Monday. It was the inauguration of Donald Trump, which was a humiliation ceremony. And the second part of that event was a cult activity. I don't know what else you want to describe it as, but it was a cult activity where across the United States and spreading out across the globe, a collection of individual, and what I sensed was at least 1,000 individuals performing a seance at one time, all in sync, timed to perfection, I tell you. And that event was done to siphon wealth from, not just wealth, to siphon wealth and status, to transfer and overlay it to Humpty Dumpty Donald Trumpty, because he is actually bankrupt. And financially, spiritually, and metaphysically useless in the spirit realm. He has no status of value. Not trying to be offensive, I'm calling it what it is. And he so the individuals, he got individuals to help him. These individuals did include members of my family and friends, which is very embarrassing to have to admit, but the event was done onto me for his benefit, and also to do a trade. We are in a I mentioned in my previous video that we are not the realm that we are in. We are in an isolated environment within a realm, and the physical form of where we are, it's a cube, and the earth body form that we're on is within that. this place is a prison system. It is a matrix generated system, and it is a loosh farm, and it is to create a substance called loosh, which is created through energy, and it is harvested before and after death. Most of it is created and held within the being, whether it is an element spirit, nature spirit, human being. It is held within their being, and it is harvested in death. It has a very short window of harvest time. So that's the purpose of this convoluted place that we're in. Now, it is a prison. The first event was to trade places with one inmate, me, and the status of another inmate, Donald, and transmute and manifest or break my body and put someone else in it, or allow someone from another dimension to come into this prison. It was a prison break event, basically, is what I'm trying to explain. And the aim was to break Lucifer out of his imprisonment location and place him in my body. Lucifer has physical limitations as a part of his sentence. He is without legs, without privates, and without arms at this time. That is his punishment, and he is in a box. And so I don't want to go too much into that, but they were trying to perform a seance to break my body, specifically my upper chakras, so that he could rip through his box and jump dimensions or whatever. So that was the first the first Tingling Tuesday event. Began on, like I said, a Monday, and transmuted those events that I mentioned on a Tuesday. That was January. This December, now a Tingling Tuesday event has happened that started on a Monday, which was the earthquake that happened, that Japan has been dealing with over the last week. That began on a Monday. What I am sensing, I mentioned it in the previous video. I did not realize that what I was sensing, because I mentioned in a video that I was sensing a event that was going to pretty much destroy most of the United States, and 50 states would drop to 10 or less, and that would happen. I mentioned the plates. I mentioned this in my previous video. When I was talking about it in the previous video, I mentioned that I saw the water shaking. I saw so much movement that I couldn't tell where the tsunami actually was and where it would be landing. I couldn't tell the stop point or the start point. All I saw was just wave, not a wave, ripple. I saw rippling across the planet, but mostly on the left side of the United States. While that was happening, I sensed something separate happening on the right side of the planet, as the right side of the United States and the right side of the hemisphere. I am still not 100% sure of what I am sensing that is causing such a massive ripple. But I kept sensing a ripple, and I should have realized that what I was sensing was the earthquakes that happened this week. I mentioned them in my previous video, so you can go check that out. But I have since gotten a download while the earthquake was happening. I got some disturbing information from the Godlight Collective that I want to share. This message is for all Godlights, with a focus on Japan. This will also be affecting Italy, Greece, Africa, India. What I'm sensing will be affecting more than one region, not just where that earthquake is happening. It's going to have a ripple effect that affects both sides of where that plate is shaking. This was not a natural made disaster. This was done by a council, one of the original cults. They make me sick. And they are the same group that has been assisting confirmation, that has been assisting Humpty Dumpty, Donald Trumpty. They are in bed together spiritually. These individuals are, what I'm sensing, most if not all of them are Americans or American citizens. However, none of them are human. Not one of them are human. This original group, they are a collection of 13 family bloodlines. They have financial, they have properties within the U.S. They have businesses within the U.S. They are based within the U.S. However, they are all worldwide players, having business and connections in Japan and other parts of the world. These 13 bloodline families have been, I sense them around Antarctica. I sense them around Oslo, Norway. They have definitely been videoed, caught by cameras, for sure, in Antarctica and in Norway over the last few months, for sure. They have been making repeated visits to these two locations within the last 2 years. However, these 13 families have been making consistent visits to those two locations within the last 14 years. They have been preparing for this for a very long time, and they have been in these locations, which is where they have been doing their meetings, and they have their council meetings there. One of the individuals that has been going there, I want to point something out. What the hell is his name? I'm seeing his face. Give me a second. Gosh, the owner of Twitter, what's his name? The hell is his name? He's not a member. He wants to get it. He's not a member. He may have been photographed in the area during this time. He's not a member of the Bloodline Council. However, he is a member of Humpty Dumpty's plots. He's something else. Literally, what he's not one of the 13. He's not one of the 13, but there is a connection there. I am pointing it out because I know that when the Japan government looks at data, they will see him. I'm sure. I'm almost positive. He's not one of the 13, but there is a connection. Anyway, moving on from that, I want to tell you what this life path event means. Their aim is to unalive you, me, my soul. Yes. They're aiming to unalive you using element in nature, spirits. They are performing cosmic treason, abuse of power, and abuse of divination tactics to juice up their plans. Their aim is, what I sensed during the earthquake, is 3.8. They are hoping to unalive 3.8 million people within the moment of that earthquake up until the next life path 11, which is really messed up. These individuals, they serve the Annunaki and the Archons. They worship Son God Atton. These acts are aims to strip Godlights of their connection to the divine, to restrict or eliminate awake state autonomy, to restrict sovereignty. These acts are not as they appear, because death isn't a real thing. These acts result in siphoning of metaphysical, supernatural inheritances, wealth, age renewal, and power, resulting in slavery. They are hoping to create heightened loosh from your anxiety, and cull, C-U-L-L, which does translate into kill, K-I-L-L, so that they can prepare those 3.8 million into re-entry into the matrix system, for a redo. Now, the next version of Earth, or not even Earth, the next version of this matrix that they are working on is a metaverse based version, and in that version death won't be an option. You will not have the option of declining entry. You will be on repeat. Slavery will be a permanent thing in their system. I mentioned in my previous video that the moon was talking to me, and she was showing me her men, and also that I think I mentioned in another video that I was sensing a bunch of gods coming. Right now, I still sense more than 150 million gods outside of the loosh farm, and I sensed the approaching of other gods. At that time, when I mentioned it, and before that, I had sensed 13 sun gods, as well as those that I mentioned. And I sensed billions, it had to be billions of gods coming into into the direction of this realm. The number is big. It's not millions, it was bigger. So I assumed it was billions that I was sensing. When I sensed the 13 gods, I can sense them physically separate, but I wasn't sure of who I was sensing at that time until several of them came and told me things through telepathy. The first god that I sensed was Ra, sun god, Ra. And I sensed several others. Now, the thing that I find interesting about what I'm sensing in relation to this earthquake event is that they are worshiping the Annunaki. They are worshiping Archon. And they worship Son God Atton. However, they clearly don't have a relationship with Atton, because Atton spoke to me. this was the strangest shit. And they have been plotting to kill me. They're actively plotting to kill me. They have killed me 1,000. The last 1,000 lifetimes that I have lived, they have unalived me 1,000 times. And they committed the same acts that they did up until now. It's repeat. However, it's not going to happen anymore. I have been promoted, and I'm hoping that during this life path, many of you get promoted. But they got demoted. Lucifer got demoted as well. So it's very interesting to me that they are using divination and they are aiming to commune with gods, but they're not getting anything back out of it. Or whatever they're getting using divination is not giving them truth. And they have been found guilty by all sun gods. They have been found guilty in the courts of heaven, and they're going to be severely punished for these actions. They think that by sacrificing our lives and taking our metaphysical blessings and transmuting it into money, that they can create an endless cycle of wealth and money for themselves. And they worship demigods, 7 demigods. And the thing that's stupid about it is that these demigods that they worship, a demigod is lower than a god, right? Let's just talk basics. Demigod lower than a god. They are trying to sacrifice gods and offer them to demigods and promote demigods. But they themselves are not gods. They're not even human. They're not even godlight. So this whole thing is quite bold, if you ask me. Genetically, they are not godlight. They want to control. They're trying to create a control of the world by having access to 8% of human genomes. They are obsessed with, I guess you call it HIVES, HVES, human endogenous retroviruses, which is also what was behind COVID-19, or what was behind that whole thing. That is all a part of this BS, to sacrifice gods that are having a human experience within a prison system, and harvesting them, giving them to a demigod who doesn't. These demigods were created by Yaldabaoth, Samael, and he is a false god. He is the god of ignorance, and he does not have power in the upper realms. What you were told that is the 3 realms of heaven, it's not. Those are 3 realms of hell, and they are low. And heaven is not heaven. The upper realms is 100 realms united, not 3. Basically, I'm going to need everybody to call your power back, call your sovereignty back, claim your status, and avoid all mass activities. Do not give financial offerings to anyone at this time. Everything that the word amass means, you need to avoid it like it's venom, because all of these activities are working against you to siphon your life. And lastly, I just want to point out, they said that it would create a tsunami that was like 98 feet. It's going to be twice that at the minimum. Call your power.